Right, we're back. I spent the rest of the time sticking the axle boxes back on as carefully as I could after opening up the holes on the side frames. There was a lot of glue on the side of the axle boxes for some reason or other, and it was no wonder that as that was catching the frame as it's going around, it was wiping along the frame and that's giving it the wobble. So I'm going to put the battery on it again, and bearing in mind this has not been running, this is only using, I mean the only bits of movement that this loco's done so far has been under 9-volt battery, so she's not running at all. And now that the axle boxes are back, even though I've opened up those holes, because I cannot guarantee to get them sitting on that little stub absolutely perfectly, it might still have a little bit of an oscillation. That may be enough to catch the side frame, so it may well be that unlike when there was no axle boxes in, she was absolutely rock steady, I might get a little bit of movement. Alright, I mean, I'm going to find out, just like you, what she's like when I put the battery on the track. If there is, it's not the end of the world, because as I said, she's not run in. She needs a decoder in it, and that's what I'm going to be doing next, is getting the body off and showing you, how to do that, and also hopefully how to get a cab out to put a driver in. So we're going to see. But I'm going to put the battery onto the track, and we're going to see how bad she was. If you remember what she was like when she first came out. So let's have a look. I'm going to stick I've got the battery here. I'm going to put it onto the end of these tracks, and you'll hear her running, he says, when he gets it going. There we are, she's running. Now there is a little bit of movement here, but the wheels are turning. You can see that little bit of side, the frame is getting knocked a little bit by, say, especially that axle. It's rocking it. But it's plastic on plastic. This is the first time it's run. I'm expecting it to do that, because my others did. There we are. This is all just under battery power, so I'm going to have to stop it soon, otherwise I'll have no battery left. But that's not bad. And those axle hubs aren't coming out now because they've been well stuck in. There's a little bit of movement on that side. I'll zoom in because I'm not going to lie to you. But you saw what it was like when I first ran it, and there's definitely not the old duck's tail wobbling now. So when that's got the decoder in, because I'm running it just under 9-volt battery power at the moment, so take that off. I'm happy with that. That'd be fine. I mean, yes, you're saying, oh, it's still rocking, Peter. Yes, it needs to wear in. I think Hattons themselves tell you, oh, run it in and it will get better. They say, oh, when you get it out, because I said to you, these are rubbing. It's a plastic rubbing against a plastic. What I've done by opening up the holes a little bit is giving it a little bit of time, a little bit of movement, a little bit of room to move. And where it is still rubbing, it will rub away. But of course now there's not so much to rub away, so it'd take a lot sooner to run really, really well than what. I mean, she's going to run well anyway. To be honest with you, I took the loco off the rolling road and I put it on my track, and by pushing it, I pushed it across my Hornby points, both switching them and all the rest of it, and it doesn't derail. So when I know it does that, I know she's going to be okay on my track, because it goes through the points, no problem whatsoever. So the two bogie frames, all the wheels are happily sitting on the track. This wheel's not higher than the one at the back and things like that, so it won't ride over. It doesn't. It runs. Even just by pushing it, it worked fine. So I've done that with all my other locos when I was working on them, and that is like my little test. And she was working fine. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to do any more. But now let's have a look at we've got to get the body off, haven't we? So that's what we're going to be doing. All right? Okay. Okay, so it's moment of truth time. This body hasn't come off yet. I did experience trouble getting the body off one loco, but persevered because I knew what you got to do. What you mustn't do, you don't pull on the fuel tank. All you'll do is pull that off, and there's nothing to grab onto underneath that anyway. Okay, so fuel tank's out of bounds. The bogies are definitely out of bounds. All right, they are not screwed in. They're held in with a clip that holds the worm drive in place on top of the gear tower, and then you get the drive shaft going to the motor in the middle. So whatever you do, do not use the bogies to try and pull down. You will end up pulling the clip off at the top and pulling the bogies out, and possibly breaking the pickup wires, and might even snap, because it's quite a long drive shaft, might even snap that. So bogies are no-no. The only location you've got that's part of the chassis and not part of the body is the sandboxes at the end of the loco. So let me use the little cocktail stick. This little thing there, the very tip of me cocktail stick, is the sandbox, isn't it? That is part of the metal chassis, and that's the only part that's like safe for you to try and get your fingers on when you want to try and get rid of the loco. Okay, the bit in front is obviously the buffer beam details and all the rest of it. That's a separately applied part. The only bit of the chassis is this sandbox at each end. Now they tell you you've got your 4 clips that you need to undo, and I don't know if you can see them here. I'm not going to keep moving the camera because I've got to try and do this myself. So one clip is there, one clip unfortunately is hiding underneath the steps, and then obviously the same on the other side. You've got to get your little bits of plastic, and I use my clear strips underneath, you know, to get the clip, like a lot of other things. But this plastic, what you really want it to be is to be long enough to go underneath the clip, but also long enough to be able to get underneath these handrails and this little bit of mouldings here, because these handrails are fixed into the chassis. They don't move with the bogie obviously, but they've got to be teased out. There's a little hole that's at the moment is pushed into. You've got to tease that out, then hopefully get the piece of plastic underneath it so that it's sitting on top of the plastic, because when the body comes off, you know, you want as less stress on them as possible, because they're painted white and it's very easy for the paint to fleck off. I mean, you know, I hope you've got a little tin of white paint standing by and a small brush, because unless you're going to heavily weather it and everything, you may end up having to apply white paint back to these handrails. This one's okay, that doesn't need it, that's flat, that's not in the way. But again, we got the 2 this end, so the clip is underneath there, and we've got to tease these things out. So what I'm going to do, I don't know if you're going to see it on camera, because I've got to try and do this without ruining my model for you guys, you know, and this hasn't come off yet. So I'm going to use cocktail sticks, and I'm going to lift that out, he says. There we are, that's lifted out, and this one needs to be lifted out as well, because that's pushed into a hole. There we are, she's coming. See how long it is? Look at that, now she's out. Right, now I'm going to stop the camera and come back once I've got the acetate underneath the clips and there. Alright, because this, I really need to concentrate on that without, hopefully I don't mess anything. Alright, so I'll be back. Right, the plastic is under the clips, it's going from there. As you can see, there's the handrails, she's out there. Same at this end, although you can't get the plastic right underneath this little one there because the cab feature inside is theirs, but this piece of plastic is going right up into the body. So for the first time, grabbing the sandboxes, thumb and finger each side, holding that. Now getting the top of the loco and hopefully pull up without pushing the windows in. And this one's being a little bit stiff. It's being very stiff, so I know what's happened. There's glue. I've released the boxes, so I know she's coming. Try not to push. She's raised a little bit. All will be revealed when I've got this loco off as to why she's not, when they've got this body shot off, why she's not releasing easily. I'll show you. Let's have a look. There's nothing else to be undone. There you go. This end is stuck. And yet, I know, there we go. So, there we are. Bit fiddly, isn't it? So there's the little handrails, that's a nuisance. There's little bits of moulding. Same there. This one, as you can see, look, the glue is broken away already. So it needs gluing back before I put it back on. On the other side, fine. All the little bits are on there. That needs a little, that will straighten up once he goes back on. Whilst you got the body off, let's see, I'm gonna take the camera back out so you got a better view. Whilst you got the camera off, what I'm talking about, whilst you got the body off, go over these little bits on the inside with some more glue. Alright guys, because I've already got one that's come unstuck. Look, that one there, you see, it's come unstuck. So a little bit of super glue again to stick them back in place. All these little bits, just stick them in place, okay? Now, why was that not so easy to come off? Because it should have been easy. I'll just get my show you. What they do, they use a sort of form of a glue to put these wires in. Let me get into focus here. See where these wires are held in place? There's some sort of tacky glue that they use to keep the wires in place. Let's put the loco body back over there. There we are. That's why, there we are. That's why she was hard, because that bit of glue there has come over the side. You see, it's like a, I don't know, it's like a white tack, but it's very sticky. But they keep it to keep the wires in place there and there, and that was obviously come over the side. You're squeezing the body to try and come it off, and you're getting it on the glue there. This side's fine, but there's the glue. Well, the glue a little bit. I'll just make sure when I put all that back that glue is nowhere near when I come to put the body shell back on again. Oh well, there we are. That's this one. This is all sticky because that's well over the edge where it should be. This shouldn't be along here anyway. So there we are. That's how you get the body off. As I say, there is the sandbox. Is the only place you can hold it, and then you have to pull the body off. Yeah. So don't be tempted to use the bogies or the fuel tanks. If it's as thick, if it's as tough as what I've just had to do, you will end up ripping these off. Believe me, 100%, it's just not the camera. You've got to grab it on those sandboxes, and then when you've got it, when you're on the body as well, you've got to be aware that as you start pressing in, if you hear little cracking noises, you might well be pressing the windows in. I don't know what it's like on the EWSs. They've got little mirrors, haven't they? So that must be really hard to get the body off doing that, because there's nowhere else to hold it. You've got your fingers down there on the chassis. You can't, if you put your fingers there, you're going to push the grills in. So yeah, so there is really the only place, and that's where the wing mirrors are. So yeah, I don't know what you do about that. But that's getting the body off. So now, as I say, reinforce all the little accessories on the inside with a bit more glue, because the glue that I use is very brittle. And as I said, I've got one here that's that side's actually come away. You can see it's stuck on that side, but that one's come away. So it just needs a bit of glue on the inside. Maybe the next thing I've got to do is get the cab out, because I want to put a driver at this end under the exhaust. Hattons have it default to be under the grill end. I'm going to have this loco looking at me going around the circuit this side, because it's more interest on side, it's got the steps, it's got the grills and things like that, so it means the forward facing would have to be with the exhaust end. So I hope you all know how to do that under the CV setting on your chip to change direction. So I'm going to be getting this cab out and putting my driver in there. The cab is fixed in. Hold up, let's find something to point. There's the clip there on that side. There is the clip on that side. It is a question, he says, as if it's so easy to do. Get my plastic strips out of the way that I used to get the body out. It is a question of spreading the plastic, a bit like what if anyone's ever got a Dapol Class 68. It's the same thing. You have to spread the plastic a little bit so it comes out, so it unclips, he says, with that. I'm trying to do this on camera with you. Where's my tweezers? Maybe I need my tweezers. Bear with me, guys. There we are. I've already got one clip out. I can see, look, you can see it's at an angle, so I've got to get this clip out on this side. Just got to spread the body apart, he says. Haha. Oh, I had it. It's gone. Come on. And it's got to come this way. It's got to get over these pegs for the lights as well. Come on, you're nearly there. It's easier getting it back in. All these little bits get in the way, you know, when you're trying to open it up. Let gravity take its course, maybe. Hold on. Sometimes they fall out. Maybe because it's stuck to the... Okie dokie, yeah, see, more little problems. Is it stuck to the window? And I think it is. Yeah, there we are. I was going to say it shouldn't have been that hard. There we are. It was, look, you can see there's glue there. Look, can you see that, Mark? They glued the bugger in place. So there's the little clip there, there's the little clip there, and for some reason out of that end they used a bit of glue. So there's the cab interior. All this detail, guys, is just sticky back, you know, it's a sticky card. Even on the chairs they use a little bit of printed detail on this side there, and obviously the dashboard is printed detail. If that starts to come away, whilst you've got the cab in your hand, you know, stick it down with a bit of PVA or something rather. But all this is all plastic, is all paper, sticky paper. I've seen some of these where the actual dashboard is lifted off a little bit, which is a bit annoying. So yeah, that's the right end. I have a driver, all one that I've painted up. There he is. He's your Backman Driver, believe it or not. And that's what you get in your normal class 66 Backman. He's normally wearing a little funny peak cap, which I've sanded down to give him, so I can give him a head of hair. And as you can see, all painted up. He's got his nice high vis on. Little bit of black tack I will do, and he will be sitting in there. Well, don't know why I'm showing you now, because I mean you'll come back when I've done it. All right, so I'm going to stop the camera, but I mean he will sit obviously in there. He does sit better than that, but I'm struggling doing it on camera. So I'll put a little bit of black tack underneath them, and come back to you when I've done that. Okay, so say put the bits of glue underneath all these little bits. Careful, these grills are glued in on this side, so if you whilst you're handing around, if you do end up popping one out, they glue back in on this side. But all these little bits of trim, where you can see where they've been put in at the factory, there you see where it is. It's recessed into the bodywork. Just reinforce that with a bit more glue, because one of these has come away, hasn't it? I don't know which end. What end did it? This one. Alright, that's the one. Okay, so sorry it might not been in camera shot a lot of time, but it's not very easy trying to do what you got to do and still have you guys watching on the video. It's not easy. Okay, be back. Right, we're back. So I got a standard Gauge Master DCC decoder. It's not a sound job, it's just a 21 pin decoder. So rather than the 9-volt battery that I've been using all the time, and obviously I'm desperate to run her in, make sure the engine bed's down, I'll put this decoder on. So all the lights don't, I mean lights are all, I'm not going to muck around changing any dip switches or anything like that just for 5 minutes of running with this standard decoder, because I've got a sound one on the way, so that's what I'm waiting for at the moment. I just wanted to give you an update since I've done it. So we got the driver fitted in. There he is. He's looking quite good. I know the cab light, obviously with the cab lights going to be on him, he's going to look quite good. So he's fitted in the, as I said, the number one end under the exhaust, because this side to me has all the detail. You've got when she's running around in the direction on my layout on the outside loop, I'll be looking at it mostly from this side, which is where all the extra detail is, the ladder, the grills. On this side it's a bit plain Jane, you see. So that's why I do these sort of silly things. There's a method behind my madness. Also, whilst working on this, I noticed, after telling you guys be careful of all the little bits and pieces, yeah, this one here is missing. Should be looking like that, should be another one there, but you can see where it should go. Never ever was fitted. Okay, there's no sign of any glue on that. It's not in the box, it's not on me worktop. Basically, when you look at the where it was, it never even had it. They forgot to put it on at the factory, or Miss Mailing or whoever her name was, just missed it. So not the end of the world, is it, at the end of the day? I won't see it because, as I said, I have it going round this way, so it's on the back side, so I won't see it. But everything's done now on the body, as as I said, the driver's in and he's looking quite good in there. Just about see it. Thought you would like to see now how she's performing, that she's able to run under DCC. That's running, guys. All right. Zoom in. There we are. That's the only one I didn't do a very, very good job getting that one centered. They're not too bad, those ones. But don't think it's too bad, do you? And then let's go to the back side. And there we are. What do you reckon? I think I got away with that. And as I say, now, I don't know, if you can see now where these axle boxes are rotating, they're not in the middle, they've raised, because as I say, the whole thing with that side piece, it stops the wheels. If you just leave the holes as they are, it stops the wheels finding their natural level on the track, and you might end up that the middle set of axles is the lowest, and then you'll end up with this one being either being high or that one being high. And then as she's going along your track, as it goes up to the frog or the point, because this one's high, she'll derail, because they're not all sitting on the track. You know, there's a little bit of this movement going on, yeah? So that's why it's a good thing to, if you're going to get them rotating, you must make sure you open the holes a bit. I mean, yeah, I don't know, no, it's not the end of the day. So I'm just thinking, should I snap that one off again and re-stick it, because I've done a bad job on that one. But you know what, no, I don't think of bother. You can see how high that one is in the frame. It's actually higher than the moulding around it, you know, which you started out as. But yeah, so there you go. So I think yep, we've got a goer here. So she's got a rotating axle boxes, but at the end of the day, I've had to work on it. I've had to, you know, try to stick them in as good as I could. Obviously I've made a mistake on one of them, not that good, but then painted them up because they got in the right old state, having to clear the old glue off and everything. And with this chip in there, I've just been able to sort of have it running half hour each way, and that's the result. I think quite conclusive, don't you? And the other news is that I've put it on the layout running underneath this chip, and she goes round as sweet as a nut. So very happy chappy. I can't wait for the sound decoder to come, and I'll get it all back together again, and yeah, I'll have a new loco joining the fleet. At the moment I don't think you can hear it because I've got the sound turned off, but going around and around, my last project, hold on, moving the camera, sorry, there you go, is good old C-Mex. Here she comes. Lovely job, nice and quiet. They you know, the great thing about these locos, I mean, a pain in the what's it to fettle them and get them running, but once you've got them running, they're a lovely loco. So powerful. And as you can hear, not a sound, just the sound of it rumbling across the track, you know, it's nothing untoward at all. And this is the Lego Man Biffo chip with a double iPhone. I didn't go for the EM2, so I'm going to turn the sound on for you. All right, I don't like the EM2 with the sound file. Richard of Roads and Rails, he's done an EM2 speaker with Southwest Digital sounds, and it really sounded good. So I'll take it back about the EM2 speaker. I think it's down to the sound file, and to be honest, I don't like Lego Man Biffo's sound file with the EM2, but I like it with the double iPhone. So there we are, that's the little update. Whilst I've been chatting to you, this one's still been just sitting there happily turning away. So next thing will be putting the body back on. Don't know if I need to show you that. I'll still use the plastic strips to try and protect the little handrails, but I'll tell you, you know, you need about 3 pairs of hands, to be honest, getting it back on again. And then hopefully with the other chip in, because it's still an unknown factor if all the light features work. I mean, you know, at the moment lights are coming on, but will they work under the proper... I've got to move 2 switches when the other chip comes in. I've left them alone. This is how it comes from the factory. I haven't touched it yet. So I've got a white on that end and a white on that end at the moment under this chip, which is obviously totally wrong, but I'm not going to move anything. I'll wait for the proper chip to come and then we'll see. So I just hope it works then. Okay. Catch you in a minute, he says.